as far as I'm aware, Biden already said he's not going to pardon him. So, like, what's the problem then? Funnily enough, Trump has already said he will pardon himself, or at the very least, he's alluded to it. Let's get the video. I'm sure they'll repeat all 3 charges. Obviously, that just most of it's just lying on a federal form.
Now, how is the verdict playing politically? I know there have been some statements flying about.
We are getting more and more reaction on this, Lester, as the hours and the minutes have passed since that verdict came down. Notably, of course, from former President Trump, Hunter Biden's father's political opponent in the November election here. And the Trump campaign is railing against what they see as essentially an investigation that did not go far enough.
The bad crime family. Okay, so let's talk before we even like get into it. Actually, let me find the exact 3 because I remember seeing them, but I definitely did not commit them to memory because they're not all that. Oh wait, did I have this in order and then I just put them out of order? Kind of, yeah. Republicans respond to Hunter Biden's conviction. Oh, no, okay. I closed that tab. That's the mistake I made. Okay, let's do that. There we go. Yeah, that's the mistake I made. So happens when you have to reopen everything. Wilmington, Delaware. Hunter Biden was convicted Tuesday of all 3 felony charges related to the purchase of a revolver in 2018 when prosecutors argued the president's son lied on a mandatory gun purchase form by saying he was not illegally using or addicted to drugs. Okay, so can we first talk about lying on a federal form that's asking you, hey, are you on drugs right now? Are you a responsible person to own a firearm? This is a pretty low standard here. Like, the idea that this has become any kind of like real story is kind of laughable, if you ask me. Mainly because, like, what, the actual form? Because I'm assuming the actual form, what does the form say? Can we find an example? Because, like, I've known some gun owners, and I'm sure we've all known some gun owners that not all exactly the upstanding citizens that you want to own firearms. Let's see. Maybe if I do firearm, can I find like an example of it? Oh, here we go. Okay, let's see. Can we let's take a look. Transfer. So security ethnicity. Are you actual transfer buyer? Are you under indictment? Ever been convicted of any court of felony? Unlawful use. Oh, here we go. Are you an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic drug, or any other controlled substance? Warning: the use of possession or of marijuana remains unlawful federal. Yeah, we know this part. So this is the form you fill out to do your background check if you're getting a gun transferred to you or if you're buying. It just doesn't say transfer usually. Or it might, if they're, I guess they're transferring ownership from this, whatever. Point is, this is the form you're going to be filling out. And the question at hand was the question, what, 11E? Are you an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic drug, or any other controlled substance? Do you want to know what's on this? You want to know what I notice as a glaring omission from this? Alcohol. How many violent outbursts are we aware of? Like, from an objective standpoint, when there's a gun involved, stem from like the use and abuse of alcohol. Quite a lot, right? Like, that's kind of a trope. That's kind of like just a thing we're okay with. And I find it like the idea that you would go to the lengths that they've gone to with this prosecution and do the whole rigmarole and everything else when it's this section of the law, which, by, like, let's be real here. let's be 500 here. No Republican should be in favor of this. What's actually funny is, as much as Republicans would like to cry and whine about unfair treatment, if the roles were reversed, they would absolutely defend this right here, because they would say the use of marijuana or any kind of other depressant, stimulant, whatever, is not grounds for the removal, for the expunging of your Second Amendment right. We all know this. And yet, Republicans bill themselves as a pro-Second Amendment party and also a what's the word? An anti-corruption party, right? But their guy, Donald Trump, engages in what were the technical charges in 34 counts of falsifying documents, which, you know, pertaining to an election, considering the actual prosecution was able to prove, yeah, that the whole purpose of all of this was to withhold information, actual election tampering. And meanwhile, their opposition is getting charged with something that every other day of the week, every Republican would be on the side of Hunter Biden. But because it's Hunter Biden, because they've got their narrative out there, they've made their decision on which team to play on and which team to feel that there needs to be an enforcement of the law on, they're suddenly okay. You know, it's the Republican Party being really to a favorable, like Reagan in the 80s was all about his guns and all about gun ownership until the Black Panther showed up with guns somewhere, and then there suddenly felt a need by the Republican Party to crack down on gun ownership and crack down on possession and stuff. So I mean, they're not unused to this position, but let's continue to take a look. I'm glad we could actually find the actual document, because I was wondering if we'd be able to. We don't actually need this, so let's go back real quick. Let's head back to this. So how were the reactions? Kind of what you'd expect. Like I said, they've decided that they're no longer pro Second Amendment now that it's Hunter Biden. Now they're all, if you filled out a form, say goodbye to your Second Amendment rights, apparently.
Father's political opponent in the November election here, and the Trump campaign is railing against what they...
And keep in mind, the same way that like they're incoherent about the Trump conviction is the same reason why they're incoherent on this one, because a Trump conviction and a Hunter Biden acquittal would have played into their narrative perfectly, like just on a plate, ratatouille on a plate. But that didn't happen. And right now for the GOP, they have to kind of square this round peg now by having to go, oh, well, we still don't think the justice system was fair, even though it found both parties on both sides guilty of crimes. There's still, obviously Trump still thinks he's been treated unfairly, apparently.
See as essentially an investigation that did not go far enough, saying it is nothing more than a distraction from what they describe as the real crimes of the so-called, again, their words, Biden crime family here, saying that this all comes down to November 5th. That, of course, is Election Day. We have also heard from the Republican head of the Oversight Committee in Congress, Congressman Comer, who says that while this is an important step, essentially, it still does not go far enough. And that seems to be so far the theme, based on even my phone conversations with some Republican strategists in the last maybe hour since we last spoke, when this conviction came.
And like, what do they want? What do they want? Like, what? The guy was an open and admitted addict to drugs, something that I don't know if they're aware of this, quite a lot of Americans suffer from, and quite a lot of gun owners also suffer from. Like, this is such a, what's funny to me is this feels like something that could potentially endear people to Hunter Biden. This kind of, again, in a roundabout way, kind of backfires on Republicans. They would have loved, as much as they've been screeching about it, they would have loved a conviction or an acquittal of Hunter Biden, because it would give them the opportunity to whine and to just croak on and on and on about how unfair the system is. And now that it's kind of not, they don't have a lot to complain about. Both guys committed crimes. Both guys were found guilty. Wrap it up, boys.
Came in here, Lester. I would say a couple of things here. First of all, there is a world in which, for perhaps some persuadable voters, when former President Trump rails against the weaponization of the Justice Department against him, there could be an argument, right, that somebody could make to themselves that Hunter Biden, the president's son, was just convicted by that same Justice Department here on felony counts.
And Biden already said, as far as I'm aware, Biden already said he's not going to pardon him. So, like, what's the problem then? Funnily enough, Trump has already said he will pardon himself, or at the very least, he's alluded to it. Whereas Biden, when it comes to Hunter, is like, no, you got to eat that L, Jack. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I like, to me, you know, as much as I'm not a dyed in the wool Biden supporter around here, but like, I mean, you know, honest is honest. I mean, you can't really, it's hard to convince people, I think, that Biden is this corrupt individual when his son just got convicted and he's going to let it play out. And if he doesn't, I'll come right back on here and, you know, we can have the, like, all right, should he have pardoned him? I don't think he should. I don't think the president, and I don't think he will. But, you know, and if I'm wrong, then I'll come right on here and I'll come and say it. I'll do it.
The other side of the coin here is that for Democrats railing against a convicted felon, as they describe him, and former President Trump, who, of course, has been found guilty on those felony counts, now you have the president's son also convicted on felonies. All of this said, though, Lester, stepping back, big picture, one thing I've heard in some of my conversations in the last little bit is a huge question mark on whether this is actually going to move voters. In other words, this may be a data point that people are aware of, that they understand.
Oh, here we go. Here's the counts. Count 1, false statement, firearm sale. Count 2, false statement, transaction record. Okay, so that's literally the same. Okay, that's okay. That's 2 counts for literally the same thing. That's fine. Count 3, illegal possession of. Okay, and then the outcome of, like, you own a file. Which, okay. I would love to know how Republican Party voters are upset about the illegal possession of a firearm by Hunter Biden, but are supportive of Kyle Rittenhouse. That's what I want. I want to know how you square those. Because actually not even unlike, like almost 1-to-1, both these individuals were in possession of firearms they should not have, that were explicitly against the law. But Republicans have been very, very open about their appreciation and aspirational. Is aspirational? They've been very open about their support for Kyle Rittenhouse and what he did. Poor kid, if you ask me. Like, yeah, and I know there are going to be like some people on the left who are like, what do you mean poor kid? Well, I've gone over that before. Look, young kid, we as a country, as a system, as a society, failed him quite a lot, I think. You know, he still killed those people, and those are at the end of the day, the real victims. But if we're talking from a systemic level, Kyle Rittenhouse, in my opinion, is also a victim of our systems.
That Hunter Biden has been now convicted on these charges, but does it matter as much to them as, let's say, the price of chicken breast at the store, or how they're going to make sure that their kid ends up getting through school. Those bread and butter issues that we know are consistently driving voters to the
bread
polls.
and butter.
And
Isn't it
will
usually
be,
like
they say,
kitchen
come
table
November.
politics? Isn't that usually
Inflation
the...
and the economy, and then issues related to the border and immigration, that those consistently rank higher when you look at some of these numbers from people.
Yeah, and Biden's already fucking folded on the immigration point for no fucking reason. To nobody's enjoyment, to nobody's like improved support. He just like went like, you know, last week or whatever, he went out there and did the immigration dance. And even still looking back on it, has it changed his numbers? Did he gain any support after that? Fuck no. Because the people who are already concerned about the border have their candidate. It's Donald Trump. Like, they don't need another candidate to be softer on that issue.
The
It's
vast
bad
majority
politics.
of people, based on some surveys that have been done over the course of the last 6 or 8 months, suggest that they believe Hunter Biden has been treated fairly. Now, I should note this was before
You know, I just
the trial
realized the
began.
edges of
This
my
is not
box
super recent.
have...
That just simply doesn't exist
gonna
in
bother me.
reputable polling. But that does give you a sense, I think, of where folks are on this front, Lester, at least at the moment.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated on the... Okay, wait a minute. I have to fix my camera because this is... Hello. You've made it to the end of the video. Something that only the strongest and elite of YouTube viewers make it to. So, as a reward, I will bestow upon you some wisdom, some guidance. You should subscribe to this channel. You should do it like right now. It told you to do it earlier, but like you were so good, you blew past that, like a pro esports player. You blew past that first ask and made it all the way here to the boss. And now the door opened behind me, and I think something is going to come and get me unless you subscribe.